The kitchen clock read 2:47 a.m. when I realized my wife was lying about being pregnant. Not just mistaken, lying. The kind of calculated, heartless deception that makes your skin crawl and your marriage certificate feel like toilet paper. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Caleb Morris, 39 years old, commercial architect, and until tonight, I thought I knew the woman sleeping upstairs. Lauren had waltzed into our kitchen 3 hours ago with that radiant smile she reserves for big announcements and bigger lies. "Honey, I have incredible news," she'd said, practically glowing. "I'm expecting. We need to start looking at houses immediately. Something bigger, better. The Riverside development has those gorgeous colonials we talked about." I'd congratulated her, kissed her forehead, felt that flutter of excitement you're supposed to feel. Then my practical side kicked in, the same instinct that's kept me from making catastrophic mistakes in business for 15 years. "That's amazing, sweetheart. Before we start spending serious money on a house, let's get a medical confirmation. You know how crazy the real estate market is right now." Her face had transformed instantly. The glow vanished, replaced by something ugly and defensive. "Are you serious right now? You don't trust me? Your own wife?" Her voice had risen to that pitch that makes neighbors turn on porch lights. "This is supposed to be a celebration, Caleb, not an interrogation." She'd stormed out, slamming the bedroom door hard enough to rattle picture frames. That reaction, that explosive, disproportionate anger, felt wrong. Lauren was manipulative, sure, but she was usually smoother about it. This felt desperate. Now, sitting alone in our kitchen with her phone glowing on the counter, she'd left it behind in her dramatic exit, I was staring at evidence that made my stomach turn. Her calendar showed clinic visits from 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks. We hadn't been intimate in over a month. Not since our disastrous anniversary trip to the Cape, where she'd spent more time on work calls than talking to me. The math didn't work, not even close. I scrolled deeper, my hands shaking slightly. Group chat with her friends Jade and Monica. "Operation New House is a go. He's totally buying it. Brandon thinks we can close on the Riverside place by month end." Brandon. Bran Keller. That slick real estate agent with the expensive suits and the BMW who'd been showing us properties. The same Bran who always seemed to know exactly what Lauren wanted before she said it. My phone buzzed. A text from my old college buddy Mark. "Still up? Saw Lauren's car at the Marriott downtown tonight. Thought you guys were staying in?" The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. The fake pregnancy. The urgent house hunting. The mysterious Brandon who always had the perfect property ready. They weren't just having an affair. They were running a con. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Lauren was coming back, probably to retrieve her phone and smooth things over with her practiced apologies. But I was done being played. I quickly forwarded the incriminating messages to my own phone, then placed hers exactly where she'd left it. When she appeared in the doorway, tousled and contrite, I was ready. "I'm sorry, baby," she said, sliding her arms around my shoulders. "I'm just emotional with the hormones and everything. You know how much I want this house, want our future." "I know exactly what you want," I said quietly, "and I'm going to make sure you get it." She smiled, thinking she'd won. She had no idea I'd just declared war. The next morning, I called in sick to work and drove straight to my attorney's office. David Chen had handled our real estate deals before, and he was discreet. More importantly, he was ruthless when he needed to be. "Freeze everything," I told him, sliding a folder of printed screenshots across his desk. "Joint accounts, credit cards, the works, and I want a forensic accountant to go through our finances for the last 6 months." David's eyebrows climbed as he read through Lauren's messages. "This is comprehensive fraud, Caleb. She's not just cheating, she's actively plotting to steal your assets." "I know. That's why I need to move fast and smart. No emotional mistakes." By noon, Lauren's credit cards were declining at her favorite boutique. By 2 p.m., she was calling me in a panic. Caleb, there's something wrong with our accounts. My card got declined and the bank says there's a hold on everything. Really? That's strange. I'll call them and sort it out. I didn't call anyone. Instead, I drove to Mark's IT consulting office and laid out my plan. You want to do what? Mark laughed, then saw my expression. Jesus, you're serious. She really tried to scam you? Look at the messages yourself. He whistled low as he scrolled through the evidence. Okay, this is messed up. But what you're talking about, that's nuclear, man. You sure you want to go that far? She made it nuclear when she decided to destroy me. I'm just returning the favor. Mark's specialty was digital forensics, which meant he knew how to find things people tried to hide. Within an hour, he'd mapped out Lauren's entire deception using nothing but publicly available information and our shared cloud accounts. The affair with Bran had been going on for 4 months. They'd looked at dozens of houses together, always when I was at work. The pregnancy story was just the latest escalation, a way to force my hand on the Riverside property, which Bran stood to make a massive commission on. But the worst part was the group chat with her friends. They weren't just covering for her. They were actively helping plan my destruction. Jade, if he gets suspicious, just cry about trust issues. Men hate being the bad guy. Monica, my cousin's divorce lawyer says emotional manipulation works better than fighting about money. Lauren, he's so predictable. Mention kids and a house, he'll sign anything. They'd been laughing at me, planning my downfall like it was a game. That night, Lauren tried a different approach. She came home with takeout from my favorite restaurant, and that soft, vulnerable look she used when she wanted something big. I know you're upset about the money thing, she said, setting up dinner like nothing had happened. But I talked to Dr. Martinez today, and she confirmed everything. We're really going to have a baby, Caleb. Dr. Martinez. I'd already called her office that afternoon. Lauren wasn't a patient there. Hadn't been for over 2 years. That's wonderful news, I said, taking a bite of pad thai. When's your next appointment? I'd love to come with you. For just a moment, her mask slipped. I saw panic flicker across her face before she recovered. Oh, you know how busy you are with the Morrison project. I wouldn't want to take you away from work. The Morrison project had finished 3 weeks ago. She didn't even know what I was working on anymore. I can make time for our baby, I insisted. What day works? I'll check my calendar and let you know. She never brought it up again. Friday night, I put the next phase of my plan into motion. Lauren had mentioned meeting the girls at the Last Out, their usual sports bar hangout. What she didn't know was that I'd arranged to be there too, along with a few carefully chosen witnesses. I arrived early and positioned myself at the bar where I could see everything. When Lauren walked in with Jade and Monica, they looked like they were celebrating something. Jade kept raising her glass and giggling, while Monica was practically bouncing in her seat. I waited until they were a few drinks in, then made my move. Ladies, I said, sliding into the empty chair at their table. Mind if I join you? Lauren's face went white. Caleb, what are you doing here? Having a drink with my wife and her friends, is that a problem? Jade and Monica exchanged glances. They knew something was wrong, but they didn't know how wrong. Actually, I wanted to thank you both, I continued, pulling out my phone. You've been such good friends to Lauren during this difficult time. Difficult time? Monica asked. What do you mean? I turned my phone screen toward them, showing the group chat messages. I mean helping her plan the fake pregnancy, and the affair, and the house scam. The silence was deafening. Jade's drink slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Monica's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Lauren tried to salvage the situation. Caleb, you're being crazy. Those messages are dated and time-stamped, I interrupted, including the ones where you called me predictable and laughed about how easy I was to manipulate. Jade found her voice first. Lauren, what the hell? You said you were having marriage problems, not that you were... Jesus, this is fraud. It's not fraud, Lauren snapped. It's complicated. You wouldn't understand. I understand perfectly, I said. You got bored with your husband, started screwing the real estate agent, and decided to steal my money to buy a love nest. The pregnancy story was just the cherry on top. Other patrons were starting to stare. Lauren noticed and tried to lower her voice. Can we please discuss this at home? Oh, we're way past private discussions. I stood up, making sure my voice carried. See, the thing about lies is they're like cockroaches. You find one, there are always more hiding in the dark. I pulled out a second phone, Mark's backup device, and opened the speaker function. For instance, did you know your wife has been using our joint credit card to pay for hotel rooms? Or that she's been telling people I'm mentally unstable to set up an insanity defense for when she divorces me? The audio was crystal clear, Lauren's voice discussing strategy with Bran, including how to gaslight Caleb into a breakdown and make him look unfit for asset division. Monica pushed back from the table. I can't be part of this. Lauren, this is sick. Jade was already gathering her purse. Don't call me anymore. Either of you. They left Lauren sitting alone at the table, tears streaming down her face. But I wasn't done. The best part, I said, loud enough for half the bar to hear, is that she's not even pregnant. Never was. The whole thing was theater to rush me into buying a house with her boyfriend. Lauren finally exploded. You bastard, you can't humiliate me like this. Watch me. I walked out of the last out, knowing that by tomorrow morning, everyone in our social circle would know the truth. Lauren's reputation was finished, and I was just getting started. Saturday morning brought desperate phone calls. Lauren had spent the night at her sister's house, but she was already trying to do damage control. Caleb, we need to talk. What you did last night was cruel and unnecessary. What I did was tell the truth. Novel concept, I know. I made mistakes, okay? But we can work through this. We can go to counseling, start over. Start over? I almost laughed. Lauren, you tried to steal my life savings. You faked a pregnancy. You've been planning my psychological destruction for months. What exactly would we be starting over from? I love you, she said, and for a moment, she almost sounded sincere. The thing with Bran, it was just... I was confused. But I choose you. I choose our marriage. That's touching, really. But you chose Bran when you started sleeping with him in hotel rooms I paid for. You chose him when you planned to buy a house together with my money. You chose him every single day for 4 months. It's over with him, I swear. I'll never see him again. You're right about that. Because he's about to have bigger problems than your love life. I hung up and dialed the Massachusetts Real Estate Board. Bran's license required him to disclose conflicts of interest and avoid deceptive practices. Sleeping with a client's wife while manipulating property deals violated about 6 different regulations. By Monday, he'd be under investigation. By the end of the month, he'd be selling used cars. But I wasn't finished with either of them. Mark had been busy over the weekend, using his forensic skills to map out the full extent of their scheme. What we found was worse than I'd imagined. They weren't just planning to buy one house, he explained, spreading printouts across my kitchen table. Look at this. They had backup properties in 3 different states: Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, all under shell companies Bran set up. Shell companies? Fake businesses to hide asset transfers. If the pregnancy scam had worked, they would have convinced you to invest in rental properties through these companies. Then they'd disappear with everything. I stared at the evidence, feeling sick. How much? Everything, man. Your retirement, the house equity, your business accounts. They were planning to clean you out completely. That's when I stopped feeling guilty about what I was planning to do to them. Lauren came home Tuesday evening, looking haggard and desperate. She'd been staying at her sister's, but apparently that arrangement had soured once the family learned about her activities. I lost my job, she said without preamble. Monica told HR about the fake pregnancy, and they fired me for ethics violations. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate? Her voice cracked. Caleb, I'm losing everything. My friends won't talk to me. My family thinks I'm a monster, and now I can't even pay for basic necessities. You should have thought of that before you decided to destroy me. She collapsed into a chair, looking genuinely broken for the first time since this started. What do you want from me? You've already ruined my reputation, cost me my job, ended my friendships. What more can you take? I want you to understand what it feels like to have someone you trust plan your complete destruction, I said. I want you to experience the same helplessness you were trying to inflict on me. I get it, okay? I was wrong. I was selfish and stupid and wrong. But this has to stop somewhere. Does it? Because I've been thinking about that. About where this stops. And I realized something interesting. I pulled out the folder David had prepared. Divorce papers, asset protection orders, and a detailed accounting of our finances. You and Bran stole from me. Not just money, but time, trust, years of my life. You planned to leave me broken and broke, probably questioning my own sanity. That's not just infidelity, Lauren. That's systematic psychological abuse. She was crying now, ugly sobs that might have moved me a month ago. Please, Caleb, I'm begging you. I'll sign whatever you want, give you whatever you need. Just let me walk away with something. You can walk away with exactly what you plan to leave me with. Nothing. That's not fair. Fair? I stood up, feeling the full weight of my anger for the first time. You want to talk about fair? Fair would have been you asking for a divorce instead of faking a pregnancy. Fair would have been honest conversations instead of gaslighting and manipulation. Fair would have been treating me like a human being instead of a mark in your con game. I dropped the papers in front of her. You have 24 hours to vacate the premises. After that, you're trespassing. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. She left that night, taking only what she could carry. I watched from the window as she loaded her car, thinking about how different this moment might have been if she'd just been honest from the beginning. But she hadn't been honest. She'd been calculating and cruel and utterly without conscience, which meant I could be the same. The final phase of my revenge required patience and precision. Lauren and Bran thought they'd lost everything, but they were wrong. They still had their freedom, their health, and their futures. I intended to address that oversight. It took 3 weeks to gather all the evidence I needed. Bank records showing the fraudulent transactions, audio recordings of their planning sessions, documentation of the shell companies and the property schemes, email chains discussing my psychological breakdown and how to exploit it. When I was ready, I didn't go to the police. I went to the FBI. This is wire fraud, Agent Sarah Martinez explained after reviewing my files. Multiple counts, across state lines, involving significant financial assets. We're talking federal charges. How significant? If convicted, they're looking at 10 to 20 years each. And that's before we add the identity theft charges for the fake companies. I felt a cold satisfaction settle in my chest. When do you move? We'll need a few more weeks to build the case, but soon. Are you prepared to testify? I've been preparing for months. The arrests happened on a Thursday morning. I wasn't there to see it, but Mark had positioned himself across from Bran's office with a camera. The footage was everything I'd hoped for. Federal agents, handcuffs, perp walks, and the kind of public humiliation that follows you forever. Lauren was arrested at her new apartment, the one-bedroom dive she'd moved to after burning through her savings. The local news picked up the story by evening. Marketing executive and real estate agent charged in elaborate marriage fraud scheme. They led with Lauren's mugshot, her perfectly styled hair now disheveled, her confident smile replaced by hollow-eyed shock. The reporter described the sophisticated operation designed to defraud a local architect of his life savings through fake pregnancy claims and manipulated property investments. I watched the coverage from my living room, eating dinner alone for the first time in years and feeling perfectly content. My phone rang. It was Lauren, calling from jail. "Caleb, please, you have to help me. This is insane. They're saying I could go to prison for 20 years. "That does seem excessive," I agreed. "I would have expected 15, maybe 18 tops." "This isn't funny. My life is over." "Your life was over the moment you decided to destroy mine. The only difference is that I'm better at it than you are." "I'm your wife." "You're my defendant. There's a difference." She was sobbing again, but it sounded different now, desperate instead of manipulative. "What do you want me to do? How do I fix this?" "You don't. That's the point. You wanted to leave me with nothing, so now you get to experience nothing. Federal prison, criminal record, unemployable for life. Consider it a learning experience." "You're a monster." "I'm a student. You taught me everything I know." I hung up and blocked her number.